I'm
Okay,
not stealing it.
goodbye.
Right, fine.
Goodbye. You want to be an argumentative little British clown? Go ahead. Go pound sand. Okay. We're not playing this little game. Okay. I'm more than welcome people to uh, disagree. But when you're just being deceitfully bickering with me, then I don't have any patience for this. Okay. So the fact of the matter is, if I say that a premise will either presuppose God or not, it's a true dichotomy. And this clown, Azen, said it's not a true dichotomy, and it is. So if he's objecting that God deep down is presupposed by moi or anyone else defending the Christian worldview, because we believe that premises cannot be invoked as actual unless uh, God exists and He reveals Himself, and they say that's circular. But you see, that would also apply to the converse position as well. Okay, so God is not explicitly in there, but God is in there in an implicit premise, just like the not God syllogism will implicitly down deep presuppose not God. Because if they presupposed God in any of the premises, but then concluded, therefore God, it would not be sound or valid. It's that simple. Okay.
Yeah. So how do premises presuppose things? I don't think that's how premises work.
Um, No, every premise, as let's say a proposition, will presuppose something for its actuality and intelligibility, unless, of course, it's presupposing that it's self-contained and non-derivative and non-dependent. Now, do you want to dispute what I just said?
Yeah, I don't think premises have to, you have to invoke like a metaphysic or anything like that to state a
And okay,
premise. It's just a part
okay,
of an
so
argument.
okay, what's your username?
Cool guy Jeff 69. Oh wait, no, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
all right,
It's
all right.
underscore Cool guy Jeff 69.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, I just wanted to see what I didn't see who was talking to me. Okay, now, do you believe that you can invoke the actuality and intelligibility of any proposition that has no context?
That has no context. Do you mean by context like a fundamental truth?
I mean, whatever your terminus point is, that there's nothing there. Could you invoke the actuality and intelligibility of if there is no fundamental ultimate context?
If by context you mean there has to be something fundamental that like, grounds it, then yeah, there has to be something.
Okay, good. Then you agree with me then.
No,
Okay.
I don't.
Well, then you're confused. Okay, because my position is that a proposition or a fact will have to have an ultimate context to explain its existence, because it will be considered to be a derivative, contingent, and dependent, or not. Okay, if not, then the only other way it could be is that it is uh, metaphysically primary, self-contained, and unconditionally non-derivative and dependent. Non-dependent, that is. Okay.
Well, I agree there needs to be something for a fact to be a fact, but presuppositions are things that agents do. Like
Yeah, well,
a
you don't
proposition
get hung
doesn't.
up. Don't get hung up on the word presupposition here. All I'm simply saying to you is, in order to invoke facts in terms of their actuality and intelligibility, they're going to require a ultimate metaphysical context. Whether that context is external to it, or that ultimate context is that the thing in question is self-contained. Okay, so for example, God requires no independent or external context, because God is defined as being self-contained and unconditionally non-dependent. Okay.
Yeah. All I'm saying is that nobody has to like choose a thing that is true or a metaphysic to use a proposition. They don't have to presuppose anything.
No,
It's
they
just a
most
preposition.
you're not understanding, because then they do have to presuppose it. It would have to be um, even as an enthymeme. Okay. Otherwise, it won't have interpretability. Okay. In other words, it would terminate in a brute fact, and if it terminates in a brute fact, there is no rhyme or reason or explanation as to why a brute fact. Therefore, everything that derives from that will have no explanation.
Yeah, so when I
Okay.
say that somebody doesn't need to presuppose a true thing, a metaphysic, that doesn't mean that the metaphysic doesn't exist. I'm just saying that whoever's
No,
making the
no,
proposition
you're
doesn't
not
know what it is.
understanding. If what you have to do is you're going to have to identify and defend. Okay, do you know who Cornelius Van Til was?
Yeah, vaguely.
Yeah, he's a famous Christian apologist, theologian. He got a PhD in philosophy from Princeton University. He said that brute facts are mute facts. That's one of his aphorisms. Okay, a brute fact is something that is stipulated to be without any explanation, either externally or internally, as to why it exists. Do you agree with that definition?
I do, but I'm not talking about brute facts.
Okay. Well, here's the problem. When you invoke a fact, right? The fact will either be invoked as either a brute fact or not a brute fact. Okay, and that the not brute fact would come under the category of a created fact. Okay,
Yeah, sure.
so either any fact in question will be categorized as a created fact
Mostly,
or not.
force
And if
restart
it's
your
not,
device.
then it will be categorized as a brute fact. So what we have here is a true dichotomy. A fact will either be a created fact or it will be a brute fact.
Yep.
Now, if you want to try to attack the true dichotomy, it's not going to work. Okay? Because then if you say that, well, it's not created but it's not brute, then you're going to have to tell me, what does it ultimately derive from? What does it identify it and defend it? But you see, then if it's a brute fact and it has an identifiable ultimate source, then it no longer is a brute fact.
Yeah, so I'm not talking about brute facts. I'm talking about whether or not a proposition or premise needs to
Okay,
presuppose something.
is the proposition invoking something that's actual and intelligible?
What do you mean by invoking? If it's like grounded by something, there has to be something.
I'm saying is you're giving me a proposition about something that's real.
Yeah, you
I'm
don't have
not
to know what
interested
is
in
the.
I'm not interested in people telling me things that aren't real. Okay.
So my point is that just because you make a proposition doesn't mean you need to kind of put your cards on the table or choose a
Okay.
metaphysic that makes something real.
Can you get closer to your microphone because I'm having trouble understanding you.
Yeah, my baby's screaming. That's why. So
How
my
old is
point is that
hold on a second. I've made many babies myself. How old is your baby?
he's almost 9 months.
9 months. That's a fun age. That's a fun
Yeah,
age.
that's good.
You know, what you need
Yeah.
to
So
do is stop feeding them a little bit after they're 12 years old, and then they're less of a problem.
yeah, there you
Yeah, that's a joke.
go. Yeah.
Okay, so here's one for you. This is a maxim that I learned from my brother before I had children, and he had a couple of kids before I did. He said he said to me, when you're changing diapers, always no, it was never change a diaper when you have boys with your mouth open.
Yeah, I've made that mistake already.
Yeah, that happened to him. Fortunately, that never happened to me. So okay, so
Yeah, my kid
if
never
we're
had a
going
stream. Someone talks about
a fact will either be a created fact or it will be a brute fact. Okay, so
Yep.
right now, since you recognize that it's a true dichotomy, you couldn't invoke a fact otherwise.
So what do you mean by invoke? Do you mean that the agent needs to think about what the fact is derived from?
No, that it would not. Okay, if we say that a fact or a putative proposition, it can only exist in either the God world or the not God world. So there's not a third realm that it could exist in.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so that's when we get back to it's either a created fact or it's a brute fact.
So is God a
Okay.
brute fact?
No, because God, a brute fact is a fact that is invoked that it does not have an explanation either within itself, being self-contained, or externally to itself. So God is not a brute fact.
God's a self-referential fact.
So then is God a created fact?
No, he's self-referential.
No, I just explained to you that God is what we're talking about all facts that are not God, sir. That's the context. Okay?
Yeah, so I just don't
But
see
then it's
how a
not a
premise
true
has to
dichotomy?
presuppose.
All facts will either derive within the God world as a conceptual scheme or the not God world. So God himself will be within the conceptual scheme of the God world. Okay?
Darth, can I quote you?
Yeah. Well, you know what's amazing? why you guys care so much to quote me. Isn't that interesting? I'm blushing here that you would actually write me down and memorize what I say.
I didn't write you down. I have a pretty good memory. I'm pretty young.
Okay, go ahead. Now, before you
Okay,
do, are you an atheist or a theist?
I'm a deist.
You're a what?
A deist.
A theist or a deist?
D as in Derek.
Okay, a deist. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So you've said in the past, verbatim, that you're notorious for explaining your
Uh,
position.
hold on a second.
What? Are you?
Yeah. Did I just speak with you just recently?
You spoke with me like 7 months ago in politics
Did
and
I?
religion.
I didn't speak with you today.
No, you spoke to me a long time ago in politics and religion,
Oh,
but I
so
got
you're
banned.
not. So you're not Asian?
Who?
Yeah. Okay. So you're lying now.
No, what?
Okay. Hey, guess what, Asian? Guess what? You lied to
What?
me. Now, yeah, yeah. Nice try. Okay, there you go. Now you're banned. Okay. Now, next time I hear your voice and I recognize it, I'm gonna ban you. Okay. Yeah. What a liar. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that distraction. Uh, your name at the cool. Okay. Cool. Okay. So when we're talking about facts that are not within the category of God Himself, the fact will either be a created fact or a brute fact. Okay.
Sure.
So when I say all facts, I think some people are taking advantage of the fact that I had an unstated premise there. Okay. So for the sake of brevity, I'll say all facts. I could say all facts that are not God. Okay. Okay. All facts that are not God will either be a created fact or a brute fact. Okay. Now, do you want to agree or disagree with that?
No, I agree with that. Yeah, what I disagree with before is that premises had to be presupposed. That's just not how they work. They're just parts of arguments that you can use to
No. Okay.
come to.
So it's okay. Well, a premise will be invoking something that is putatively a fact, right?
Okay, so if you want to, yeah, if you're going to say facts and whatever
Otherwise,
world
we're
you
just
need,
what we're just talking about just some idea. Okay.
Well, they'll have truth conditions if that's what you mean.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
yeah,
I
I
always
would just say fact.
Bolya, I always appreciate you jumping in here because you're really smart in those areas. Thank you.
Yeah,
So
yeah, no problem.
yeah. So the point is, facts are going to require context, right? And if the context is not God Himself, that it's a created fact, that God is the ultimate reference point, God is the ultimate context, then what we're dealing with then is a fact that is categorized as a brute fact. But if it's a brute fact, it's uninterpretable, okay?
So,
Because
so
there's
not to
no
confuse.
what?
Why does it have to be either God or brute fact? It could be God or
No, I
some
can't.
other kind of fundamental ultimate
No,
thing.
no. I said. Well, a fact will either reside in a God world or a not God world. That's a true
Right,
dichotomy. Okay.
right.
So when we talk about all facts that are not God, they'll either be created facts or they'll be brute facts. Okay. Now
Well, I mean,
the problem for brute facts, as Van Til put it. Now you got to remember, Van Til was a brilliant philosopher, and he correctly extrapolated that if something is without identifiable reason as to why it is, then everything that derives from that is equally uninterpretable. So something that's uninterpretable is not intelligible. Now,
yeah, I just don't see how that follows.
okay, well, intelligibility does not mean like if suppose suppose I made something up and I called it the Blue, right? And you and I recognize that it does not exist, right? Now, I could give you certain characteristics to it that you may be able to understand or it's intelligible to you, but it won't have intelligibility in terms of the intelligibility being grounded in something that's ultimately real that provides for its realness. In other words, there would be
Yes.
no rhyme or reason as to what or why it is.
So that's my point. I don't see how you could say that necessarily has to be Christian God or any mind. Why can't it be something else?
hold on a second.
And also, I think God is just a brute
Hold
fact
on a second.
anyway.
I was looking at a message. Could you repeat what you just said?
Yeah, what did I say? Yeah, my issue is that I don't see why it necessarily has to be Christian God. Why couldn't it be something else? If you're going to say something else, it's just a
Well,
brute fact.
we haven't gotten there yet. Okay. Okay, we haven't gotten there yet. Okay, so you're jumping ahead here. So my point is this, right? Um, that if you don't posit that a putative fact is a created fact, then it's going to be a brute fact, which will be render it a mute fact. It will be uninterpretable.
Yeah, I don't see how that follows.
Let me tell you. Let me show you why it follows. Okay, and I'll show you by showing you the reverse. Okay, so in the God world, okay, when facts are created by God, they start in the mind of God, and then they're imposed by God's will. They're instantiated, and then they're sustained. So, because God is the creator of all facts, then God is the first interpreter, right?
Okay, sure.
Under that conceptual scheme, God is because he's the creator, he is the sole interpreter. So if we have an interpretation of a fact that isn't commensurate with what God thinks about it, how God interprets it, right? Then our interpretation is false. Okay?
Yeah, I'll have to hear an argument for that. I don't see how that follows necessarily.
No.
I'm not
It
saying it's
follows, listen to me.
uncomfortable.
It follows within the conceptual scheme. Okay? So in the
Oh, the
God
worldview? Oh,
world,
sure.
yeah, it follows from within the worldview, is my point.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, cool.
Okay. So a fact will only be interpretable in virtue of the fact in terms of what and why it is, because it starts in the mind of God and it's restricted by the mind of God. Therefore, a fact in a God world can only be actual and intelligible and interpretable unless we acknowledge God, and then it derives from the mind of God and it coheres to how God interprets it. Now, if you reject that conceptual scheme, right, then there is no ultimate reference point to make the brute fact in question, interpretable. What is the reference point that provides for the interpretability of the putative fact?
I have no idea. My issue is that I don't see that
You
necessarily.
start all over.
Oh, I have no idea what it is. My issue is that I don't see how it necessarily has to be God.
Okay, do you have a justification? Do you have a justification how brute facts are interpretable?
How they're interpretable? No, I don't know the metaphysic.
Okay, so what I'm saying to you is brute facts are uninterpretable. That is why Cornelius Van Til, with a PhD in philosophy, said brute facts are mute facts. There's a reason why he coined that aphorism. Brute facts are mute facts. Do you think that he was poor at philosophy? Do you think he would make such an aphorism that was utterly stupid and false?
Well, I would need to hear an argument for it, not just a worldview.
So you do not accept that brute facts are mute facts, right?
No, I don't see the why they have to be.
Okay, so do you understand that a mute fact is nothing can actually be grounded intelligibly about it?
Yeah, I'm asking for the argument for that.
Right. No, you don't. Okay. How, if nothing intelligibly can be said about it, then it's mute.
Yeah, but I'm asking for the argument about how it's definitely unintelligible without Christian God.
Because why? Because there's no reference point that is identifiable to show what and why something is.
Well, that doesn't mean that there isn't something that could do that, right? Just because it's not identifiable.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem. Okay. Now, if you do not accept that God is the necessary precondition, that the mind of God is the necessary precondition of actuality, interpretability, and intelligibility, if you don't accept that, then you're going to have to put on the table what the alternative is.
Yeah, I don't see how that follows.
No, you're not understanding, because you are presupposing the negation of that facts are only interpretable because it derives from the mind of God. Is it your position then that facts are interpretable independent of the mind of God?
Well, what I'm saying is that I don't see why it's logically impossible.
You're not understanding why the issue is not logical possibility, is that you don't
Why
have
not?
a metaphysical basis for it.
Yeah, I don't see why I would need to know what the metaphysic is.
Right, because then the putative fact in question, the brute fact, there would be nothing to explain what it is or why it is.
I mean,
Do you,
how can you say that? I
can,
need to hear
can,
the
can you
argument
can
for
you
that.
give me a fact that is a brute fact that is interpretable?
I'm not sure how I would do that, but you're making a positive claim that it
Okay.
has to be from Christian God, so I need to hear an
Right,
argument
right.
for that. I need to
That's
take it
right.
seriously.
Because then there would be nothing identifiable or defensible as to what is ultimate, unless what is ultimate that grounds the actuality, interpretability, and intelligibility of the given fact, unless it is a mind, and a mind that has a sufficient property set and reveals that it exists, right? Then there cannot be an identification and a defensibility of that which is ultimate. Now,
So that's a claim, but why is it logically necessary?
okay. Why do you keep on introducing the word? Why is it logically necessary? Okay, what I'm saying to you is metaphysically. Okay, I'm not introducing saying that there's a per se a logical problem, and you just keep on inserting that caveat there, which leads me to believe that somebody's feeding you lines and DMs. Okay,
No,
because
I'm playing with my
I've
data.
heard this before. Okay, so the issue isn't a logical one; it's a metaphysical one. Okay, either
Yeah, so
something either something exists derivatively, or something is self-contained. Okay, it's a true dichotomy. Now,
right. My issue is
it's
why does it have to be a Christian God?
okay. Okay. Well. First of all, before we begin with, because the Christian God uh, has to have all great making properties in order to ensure, okay, to facilitate that we can know that He exists. Okay. For example, what if it was a God who was not always truth revealing? Okay. Then you could
Yes.
never know in any belief state, okay, things that you believe about that anything is real or not. So, for
So
example,
it's
in the Christian worldview, the entire creation is revelatory of God. So, just to give you an example, when you look at the moon, every time you look at the moon at night, from within the Christian worldview, you are experiencing a revelation from God within that conceptual scheme. Okay. Now,
so I
so
think I see you're
do you
trying to make some kind
understand?
of
Do you understand? Listen to me. Do you understand that everything that you become acquainted with, right, in the Christian worldview, is revelatory of God? Now, unless God within that conceptual scheme is always truth revealing, right, and you posit that what you encounter is a product of another God who is not always truth revealing, you will never be able to know what you are coming into contact with fits in accordance with the laws of logic. So what I'm going to ask you right here now is, okay, so I'm picking up that you do not accept the Christian worldview. Is that correct?
um, I don't find it to be definitely true. I mean, mine's
Okay,
open.
so what is your worldview then?
My worldview, I don't make any positive claims about a metaphysic. I just stop at the
Okay,
presuppositions.
then everything you say is metaphysically unintelligible.
Well, I haven't made any metaphysical claims, so yeah, I guess
Okay,
so.
you got to get close. No, listen to me. Every time you open up your mouth, you're making certain truth statements, aren't you?
Sure.
If you say, "I'm not making any claims," that's a claim.
No, no, no.
Now,
I didn't make any claims about the metaphysic reality, right? What the
you
actual
most
metaphysic
okay.
is.
Well, okay. We're going to have to discuss that. That's simply false. Okay. If one claims, "I make no declaration about ultimate reality," is that your position?
Yeah, metaphysically, yeah.
Okay, that's incoherent. That's a self contradiction because you cannot suspend judgment about what is ultimate. Okay, that is an impossibility. Right.
Yeah, I don't
So,
see how that follows.
well, I'll explain why it follows. Okay, you have already decided that God, as the ultimate grounding, for facts is unworthy of belief, haven't you?
No, nope. I did not say that. I think it's perfectly rational and reasonable.
No.
My
Good.
issue
Then
is that
if it's perfectly rational, why don't you believe it?
because I just don't believe it. I mean, when I say it's rational, I think,
Okay. So do you believe? Okay, so now we're talking about what you believe. Right now, do you believe that God, that all the facts that you're acquainted with necessitate referencing the necessity of God? Do you believe that?
no, I don't hold that belief. So can
Okay,
you
so
ask me the other way
okay,
now?
okay. What's the
Can
other
you ask
way?
me the converse? So can you say, do
No.
you
Okay,
believe?
I've talked with you before. This is the same argument. Okay, when you
I've
invoke
never said
facts,
this to you
listen
before.
carefully. You see, I'm familiar with this tactic. People have tried to pull it on me before.
Well,
Okay,
you're not allowed to speak.
so listen carefully. Okay, when you invoke facts,
Can
is
I
it
say a
with
sentence?
listen to me? When you invoke facts, is it with reference to the necessity of God?
I don't know. It could be.
No, I didn't ask you what you know. I'm asking you what you believe.
I believe that I don't know.
Okay, no. Listen, okay. Look. If you're gonna pull this
I'm
shtick,
sorry.
we're
Sorry,
gonna
you're right.
end real quickly. Okay.
You're right. No, I don't hold the
Do
belief that
you?
they do. Yeah,
Okay.
let me finish. Yeah, I don't hold the
Okay.
belief that they reference. I don't hold that belief.
When you
But
invoke
then, can you ask
facts,
me the other way, please?
yeah. First of all, your mic quality is terrible. I'm struggling trying to understand you. Okay. When you invoke facts, okay, are your facts without explicit or implicit referencing the necessity of God? I'm waiting. Maybe he's fixing his microphone. See, what he wants to do is he wants to play this little game. Oh, I don't know. I'm not believing facts depend upon God. I'm not believing that they don't. But we can very easily disabuse him of this just by saying, when you invoke facts, does it explicitly or implicitly, is it with reference to the necessity of God? And that formalization cannot be evaded.
Okay, here we go. So can you ask a question again?
Yeah. When you invoke facts, are they explicitly or implicitly with reference to the necessity of God?
I don't know. I have no
I
idea.
didn't ask you if you know. I'm asking what you believe. When you invoke facts, do you believe that they are with reference to the necessity of God? Do you have that belief?
No, I don't have that belief that.
Thank you very much. That's all we need to know now.
Well,
Okay,
can you
so
ask me the other
now,
way?
so hold on a second. No, because you see, here's
Why
what we
not?
found out. Because let me because if you said I don't believe they're without
Just
reference,
ask me the
okay,
other way.
you would be lying, okay? Because if you don't, either your belief about facts will either be with reference to God or it will be without.
Yeah,
And
I
if you
agree, but ask
okay,
me the
good.
other way.
And right. And so then you do believe that you invoke facts with they are without reference to God.
No, so ask me the other way, please.
Okay, okay,
Darth,
all
why
right.
don't you
You
humour
know
him and
what?
ask him
You
the
know
other
what?
way?
We're done with your trolling tactics, sir.
Well, can I
Okay,
say a
you are
couple sentences,
no. We're
please?
done. We're done with your bullshit. Okay,
I
because
think you're
what you're
just being
trying to do. No,
dishonest here, man.
listen to me. No, I've been. You know what? I've talked with you before about this, and you've tried the same shtick again. Okay,
Actually, no,
what
I've
you're
never
trying.
said this to you.
What you're trying. Well, okay, then I had a conversation with somebody who spoke identically like you did on this matter. What you're trying to do is, out of an act of desperation, you're trying to claim that you're simply suspending judgment. You're not suspending judgment. Okay,
Well,
is it your position that you are suspending judgment about God?
yeah, I am. But can you
Okay,
ask me the
now
other way? The way you asked
okay.
the other
Let
question,
me ask you a question.
please. Why are
Do
you
your
avoiding?
fact? Okay, all right. Have a nice day. You're done. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Even
Goodbye.
my 8-month-old baby can see
Okay.
this.
Yeah. Okay. No. Okay. No. You're. Listen. There's no point in conversing and debating when you're going to be this transparently deceptive. Okay.
Good kid.
Now it's very simple, right? You believe that your facts are spoken without reference to God, because you do not invoke facts with reference to the necessity of God. And for you to say that you don't believe in either is complete deceit and dishonesty. Okay? Either your the facts that you invoke, either it will be with reference to the necessity of God, or it will be without. And if you say that your facts are not invoked with reference to the necessity of God, then by default, there's only one other option vis-a-vis the law of excludability. Then your facts are invoked without referencing the necessity of God. Okay?
Darth, he got a little rhetorical jab in there because now we're all wondering why we don't ask the other way. He like now it's ruminating in the room.
I'm not understanding your point.
Yeah, it's lingering.
It's lingering. The fact that you wouldn't ask him the other way. He kind of got a rhetorical jab in there.
No, because you see, I'm not going to grant this little verbal kabuki dance that he doesn't believe either, because it's a deception on his part. He certainly believes that he invokes facts without reference to God. And if he says that he doesn't believe either, he's lying. Okay? That is a lie. Okay? Even a child can see that this is a lie. This is a pure desperate act of
I think a
deception.
child saw through your lie, actually.
What's that? What's that, Ken? So are you heckling me, Ken? Okay, yeah. Bye, Ken. You're not welcome in my room. Okay. So Ken is a mod, but he wants